to accomplish because my whole focus when my brother and I was growing up, we grew up in 1,000 square foot cinder block home. Cement floors. The floors was just like what we have in this here. No paneling, and I could look up at night and I could look through the tin roof and I could see the stars. And my whole purpose was, my brother and I, was to get my grandmother out of that environment. That was the only thing that mattered to me. It wasn't about, Shannon, if you make a lot of money, you'll be famous. I didn't care anything about fame. And I don't really, to this day, I don't care about money.
Right.
I love what money gives me access to.
Right.
That's what I love about money. Not the money itself, the tangible product, that money. I
Right.
love what it allows me to do and what it was able to allow me to do for my family.
Right.
So because for my grandmother to go to bed for 66 years and have it rain and not get wet, that was my whole focus. That drove me. That drove my brother. And so all the things that we talked about, man, we got to get Granny out of here. We got to do this. All the times that I'm in college and, she was have my sister to wrap it up, $5 in newspaper and send it to me. In 1980, I left my grandmother's house in 86, and I had two grocery bags, Piggly Wiggly bags, for my luggage. I didn't have a suitcase. I had two bags with all my belongings. And I was going to Savannah State. And in 1987, I was a sophomore, and I remember, because we had community phones, I didn't have a phone in my room. And I remember walking down the hall, it was all quiet. I said, you know what, I'm gonna call my grandmother. Nobody's here. So I get on the phone, call collect. Operator comes on the phone. Yes, I say, I'd like to place a collect call to Mary Porter from Shannon Sharpe. Operator comes on. This is a collect call to Mary Porter from Shannon Sharpe. Will you accept? My grandmother said no. She said, I can't pay the $50 phone bill I got right now, and hung the phone up. I remember walking down the hall and tears started to well up in my eyes when my roommate's in the room, so I can't let him see me cry. And I'm just go lay on the bed and I'm looking up at the scene and I'm just staring. Now, mind you, my grandmother got on at 7 months old, my grandmother got on the train to come get me from Chicago. 2 months old, or 3 months, excuse me. My dad came and got me back at 7 months. Grandma came and got me back at 2. So
Whose mom? Was that his mom or?
My mom, my mom's mom.
Okay.
Yeah. So from the 2 years on, my grandmother was everything. I slept in the very bed with my grandmother until I was 15. I didn't get out of my grandmother's bed until my brothers left and went to college. So I had slept with my grandmother, so I know it broke her heart to tell me no. Right. Because when my brother went to school, my sister's 8 years older than me, my sister's dating, it's just me and her. It's just her and I and my nephew at the time, my sister's son. And so we play a game. All my other friends going out, I'm going home to take care of Granny. We play a basketball game, my friends going out on Saturday, Friday night, I'm going to take care of Granny. So I know what that did to her to tell me no. I can't accept this call because I got a $50 phone bill I can't pay right now. So I'm laying there and I'm thinking, the only thing that I'm thinking, I'm leaving. I'm Savannah State. I'm going to the NFL. Gotcha. I'm going to take care of that. That was the only thing that mattered. And when I got to the league, the only thing that mattered was football, not women. And it was like, look, can you be number 2? Can you handle being number 2? Everybody says they can handle being number 2 until you are number 2. Right. It sounds good, man. Shannon Sharpe is interested in me, and he gonna be, we gonna date. Okay, but just so you know, practice, studying tape, working out, the way I eat.
Oh, that's before you.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And they couldn't handle it. Okay. No harm, no foul. I'm not mad at you, but please don't be mad at me for the way I am.
Right. Upfront and honest.
That's greatness.
Talk to us about your grandmother. Seemed like she was everything, and I saw a quote that kind of summarized that you learned everything good and bad from either your grandmother or your brother. Talk to us about that.
Man, my grandmother, look. My grandmother had 9 kids. So she raised her 9 and raised my mom's 3. And I can assure you, she loved my mom's 3 more than she loved her own kids. So I remember when my grandfather died in 1977, my mom wanted to take my brother, my sister was 17, so my sister was able to make her own decision. She wanted to take my brother and I back. And my granny said no. She said, I've raised them this far, I got it. Now, for me, I can remember, it's funny how I'm playing this back in my mind. My grandfather died, I was 8 years old. I can tell you everything he's ever said to me verbatim. My grandmother lived I was 43 years old when my grandmother passed. I can tell you almost everything verbatim what she's ever told me in my 43 years of existence. I can tell you every time she was happy, every time she was mad, everything. My grandfather used to tell my brother and I, he says, boys, I don't care. And you know, in the South, they call you boy. They ain't never call you by your name.
Yep.
Say, boy, I don't care what you become. Just never have to look at me and your grandma and say, I'm sorry. So for me, I never wanted to have, I wonder where Shannon is. I wonder where Sterling is. That was our mindset. Never do anything to cause my grandmother pain. Because she was going through enough pain.
Yeah.
Living in the environment that she lived in, raising us how she raised us. And so for me, man, we spent I spent many a night thinking. Because when you're in the environment that you're in, you like, I never thought, is anybody else living like this? I just thought it was natural that
Normal.
I drank well water. I thought that was natural. I thought it was natural that I had to go outside to go to the bathroom until I was 20. I didn't know that everybody else had a shower. Everybody else had indoor plumbing. I didn't, because everybody I knew, that was the same thing. I never spent the night at someone else's house until I was grown out on my own. I never had anybody come stay at my house other than family. Never spent the night.
They couldn't afford to take another person in the house.
No, the thing was that we didn't have a bathroom, and so for me, you know, I ragged everybody just like I ragged people. Now, can you imagine if that would have got out that I didn't have indoor plumbing? I'd have never made it here because I'd have been fighting every day. You can't tell that story. Somebody got to die.
Right.
You can never let that get out.
That's the manhood.
Yeah. You gonna tell us, man, Shannon Sharpe ain't got no bathroom.
Oh, man.
Wow. Yeah, take that with you. And so to watch her and how she worked every single day, going to work from 7 to 3, she worked at the nursing home. My grandmother worked at the very nursing home. The last couple of years, she lived at the very nursing home that provided a lot of the income that we had growing up. And one of the women, the ladies that she was taking care of, she ended up being a roommate.
Wow.
Man, she taught my brother and I, she taught us hard work, she taught us discipline. You know, we had a saying down south that says you work from can't to can't. When you left to go to work, you can't see because the sun ain't up. And when you got home, the sun was already gone down, you can't see. But working those 12 hours a day, I mean, I got a W-2 from 1977. I was working from the time I was like 5 or 6 years old, working 12 hours a day. Damn. I remember working, I made $5 a day. Made $2.50 for working half a day on Saturday. For 12 hours. I'm 6, 7 years old. I don't know very many 6, 7 years old right now that their parents would even think about letting them go out there and work in the field and do manual labor. But from cropping tobacco, picking up pecans, clipping onions, tomatoes, I did it all. Bale hay. And people look at me and like, so that's where this body came from. But it hardened me. I tell people all the time, the easiest job I ever had was playing professional football.
Yeah.
They're going to, hold on. First of all, you're going to give me a scholarship to go play a sport?
Right.
And then you tell me I can make millions of dollars? Try working in the field for $5 a day. And then tell me if you like that. So she taught us hard work. I mean, my grandmother loved to fish. One of the worst whippings I got in my life is that we were going fishing. All my cousins were coming over. They were over. And so I went in the ditch, found this great spot. So I was digging baits. Baits, we call them night crawlers, whatever you want to call them.
Worms.
Yeah, y'all call them worms. We got a specific name from. We got jumping jacks. That's what they were called. Jumping jacks.
Yeah.
And,
He looked like a jumping jack with a mustache. That boy, a jumping
night
jack.
crawler. So I'm one of the worst whippings I got in my life. So a milk jug, I had cut the top of it off, and it was loaded. My grandmother got home from work, and my grandfather loaded us up in the truck, all me, my brother, my cousins, and we go fishing. We going fishing. And she said, Shannon, let me get them baits.
Left him.
Not my bait. Hold on. I was the only one that really, they were bull jabbing. I said, no. I told my grandma no.
How old?
I couldn't have been no more than about 7.
Okay. Early on.
Not your bait. Not your bait.
Look, my grandfather was disciplined, but if you really wanted to tear your butt up, let my grandma say, Barney, them boys.
That's it.
Man, Stacks, I said no. And my grandma said, Barney, that boy say he ain't gonna give me them baits. Lord have mercy.
Was it what was it? The belt, extension cord?
Man, back then, they hit you with whatever
Any
they got in your
switch.
Go get the
hand.
switch on
Man,
the chain.
my grandfather was heavy hand. My grandfather wasn't that tall.
Yeah.
Heavy.
But he was
hand.
like, my grandfather was probably like 5', maybe 5'8", 5'9", but he probably like 255, 260. Solid, wide back.
Yeah. Wide back.
Man, I needed a cell phone back then, so I could have called them folks on Papa.
It was different.
Man,
it was different.
It was very different.
It was different.
But after that point,
That
in
was
time,
love.
That was. You know,
Tough love.
they didn't. You know, people like maybe you could look at it like that, but I don't ever think I got a whipping that I didn't deserve.
Right.
They would
I
just
earned
beat for no
some
reason.
of the stuff I
Yeah,
got.
man.
Now a lot of stuff I blamed on my brother, you know, and he would get whipping because he was the oldest.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to know better. He's supposed to keep me from doing it. And I like, okay, you know, if I break this glass, you know who they gonna blame. You know?
What's the age difference between y'all two?
3 years.
Okay.
He's 3 years older than I am. And then my brother, we got a very unique relationship because it's really not like brother. He's more like my father. And so I really never looked at him like my brother.
Still to this day.
To this day.
Interesting.
Still to this day is that we don't have like a typical brother relationship. It's more like father son. And so any decision that I've ever needed to
deep.
make,
That's dope.
I've always talked to him. He was in school. He would come back and see, because the decision at first, I was Prop 48. The first year Prop 48 hit, 1986. And so I was going to go to the military. I was going down the next day to go take the test for the Air Force. I was going to the military.
Really?
My brother left school at University of South Carolina, and he came home. He said, does Savannah State still have that scholarship? I said, yeah, Coach Davis told me. He said, if I ever want to come to Savannah State, he says, go. He says, go to Savannah State for 1 year. And if you don't like it, you could always say, hey, I went and college wasn't for me. He says, now, I'm not asking you to go. I'm telling you to go. So that was really the first time that my brother at this juncture, I'm 17 years of age, he's 20. That was really the first time that he had raised his voice at me since we got
Grown
somewhat. And so I could tell, but it was hurting him because he knew how much talent I had. And he's like, he about to go squander this talent, go into the military. And somebody's gonna miss out on a great opportunity. And it was and so every decision that I've made since then is that I've always run it by him to this day.